All right, everybody, Antique Motorcycle Revival. This is the channel where we work on these old motorcycles and I talk about things that I've had a hard time trying to find answers to. And so, you know, we have several projects going on that we can make some videos on. And so this is part 2 of the video that we have done called Why Do Harleys Leak Oil? And what we talked about was that pre-1936, before the knucklehead, they had oil, which is still this case on this bike later on, but the oil at the top up here above it, it would drain down through the motor and just fall out the bottom. They called it a total loss system. It was designed to lose its oil. It just barely fed through a line to everything that needed oil and come out the bottom. Dirt roads, oil's cheap. That's the way it worked for years. Then 1936, knucklehead, 37 flatheads, they come out with this recirculating system. And I talked in the last video about how that this check valve, and there's another check valve here. There's a check valve and a check valve here. And how that I had cleaned them up with using the little ball screwdriver with a 3/8 ball bearing welded to it. And we reseated these and put new bearings in there. And put it all back together. I didn't make that video on that part of it where I put this back on. It's 5 bolts, wasn't very hard to do. So I just put the line back in. One of the things I did do on this that is worth talking about is that I had drained the tank. I put the new oil plug back in and a gasket, and then filled it up with oil. But what I did do though was bleed this line. I didn't show that in a video, but I had put this back together, and you have to open this bottom line up so that you get all the air out of this straight to the pump. When it starts putting oil out, just tighten it down. And that way you're not going to have like a 30-second delay when it comes to getting oil in the motor when you set all this back up again. So I set all of that back up again, and yesterday I fired it up again. Everything's set to specifications. This set screw down inside there is 3/8 of an inch deep. That's where the pressure comes from. And everything's set just like the book says. Put a new gasket on there. I actually ordered, I don't know, probably 50 of those things a year or so ago. And so it's been nice just to have extras. But I put the new gasket on it, bled the line, put it all back together. It's all dry and everything. I started the bike up. I rode, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 miles. Come back home last night, pull it up on the lift and let it set overnight. Now what it's been doing all the way up to this point is it was smoking when you first started. And the reason is because it was carrying all that oil in the bottom. These motors are not designed to run in oil like that. They're designed for oil to feed through there, get down to the scavenger pump on the bottom, and then pump it back up here to the tank, and then come down to your pressure again like this. And so that it was filling up, and so I started this thing up, and it's running good now. I want to show you over here on the other side. I had let it set. Before, this pan was half full of oil, where it was overfilling and coming through the seal right here on the motor, which I could show you over there on that other bike, but there's a seal right here on your motor, and it was coming through there. And now it's just this one little area right here of oil, very thin, and that is a perfect amount of oil for the chain oiler. So again, if you ask why do Harleys leak oil, this oil leak is always going to be on this bike unless I changed it over to a belt drive, which I may do someday. It's got to have an oiler that barely drips onto the chain, and it oils it because it's not encased. The new bikes run in oil. They're wet clutches. These are dry clutches, and they have to have a little oil on the chain or they wear out really quick. And so anyway, it's looking really good, and not smoking anymore, doing none of that kind of stuff. Everything's, just worked out. It's just a matter of reseating it a little bit and stopping that oil from getting down in the bottom of the motor if it sets for a while. And pretty happy with this one. I got this bike set up. Not necessarily my favorite in looks with the windshield. I'd rather not. And but I put this is an original luggage rack and the bags and stuff. I put on there and put the windshield on it because I ride this thing to death. I've had it to, I went to Maggie Valley, North Carolina. I'm in Kentucky, and I've been everywhere on it. And I love riding this bike way better than the Road King. And it's the only problem is that it's 55 mile an hour, and that's about it. If you're really winding it tight, I think, if you get up to 60. And so I hope one day to be able to build a big flathead 4-speed, and I was going to, kind of work towards that end someday. But anyway, I got the 45 lined out. Everything seems to be running fine on that. I've got parts scattered all over the place a little bit. One of the things that I've done lately is I got the parts in for the Springer, for the front end, for the Racer. All of that's together and ready to go. And so excited about that. The frame is in the shop. I had to get a buddy of mine has a frame table and lasers and all that. He's putting it together the right way. I was a little nervous to fix the frame by myself like that. So I'm getting that frame fixed where it's rusted a little bit on a couple of the bars about halfway and make you a little nervous. And I've got everything laid out for this thing, for the Racer, ready to go. We've got, I just tapped out all of these for the motor. I've got all of this ground out here for those big cams to be able to fit in there. And I think we're just about ready to head over to Morris's and start putting this thing back together. We've got everything, I think everything's ready to go. I'll know more whenever we get started on it. But anyway, got the 45 fixed and ready to ride down the road. I'm gonna do a little bit of a service on it. These bikes require servicing. You can even see, even the clutch cable here has grease fittings. There's grease fittings all over the place. The bearings, the inner bearings, all of these, everything that moves, you're able to grease it most of the time. And so I want to go through it a little bit and just kind of service it a little bit more. I've got fresh oil in it. I think I said in the other video, I changed the oil on this about every 800 miles on average. That's quite a bit, I know, but oil's cheaper than a motor. And this motor doesn't even have an oil filter anywhere on it. They didn't come with one. So I changed the oil quite a bit, and I ride it quite a bit. So anyway, we'll get us another video and start on the next one. I'm done with this one for now. It's just ready to go. And hopefully we'll get the Racer, the frame back pretty soon. And we'll start on the motor this coming week. By the end of the week, I'd like to start on that motor, and we'll try to get a video out as we're putting that motor together and trying to fit the bearings and get everything, within spec there, what it's supposed to be. I'd really like to be able to have that motor together in the next couple weeks, finished. I've got about everything I need ready to go with. It's just a matter of time. So, all right, everybody, if you would, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a whole lot to get the word out. If you hit the notification bell, you'll also get notified if we put up a new video. And if you like just seeing these videos on these old motorcycles and what we're into and stuff, do that. And that'll help us to, and we're a little easier found if people do that. So, all right, Antique Motorcycle Revival, we will see you next time.